Magic Mind is sort of like a smoothie shop. It has nootropics in it, and nootropics are, okay, what's the easiest way to explain this? Okay, think of any sort of prescription medication you take. You may not, okay, but think of something like paracetamol or, I don't know, ibuprofen or something. How it's made is, of course, back in the olden days, there were plants that helped with certain diseases and issues. They would take compounds that helped and then, condense it into tiny pills so that it's a really high concentration. And then you take that to help with whatever physiological issues you have. And that's kind of nootropics in a nutshell, basically. It's those things that help. Now, supplement drinks such as this is basically a concoction of those nootropics, but in natural levels. So instead of having going around collecting a whole bunch of plants and smushing it and putting it into a little drink, they do it all for you, so you don't have to collect a ridiculous amount and go through all that effort. And it kind of boosts you a little bit. But think of it like this. So, okay, you're in, I don't know, Pokemon or something, and you're battling a bunch of other wild Pokemon, and you're like, oh crap, I've only got 1 PP to use this move. You need it once more, so you take out Magic Mind. The equivalent of it on Pokemon. And then you've got 2 extra PP so that you can actually do the move and then you defeat the wild Pokemon. All great. It's a bit like that. Medication would be like a potion where it restores all of your health, whereas this is kind of a really, really weak version that adds a little bit of a boost to your day. So of course you want a normal lifestyle. And this is something that supplements, a bit like taking, I don't know, multivitamins, but it's a smart version of multivitamins. And I think it's more absorbed by your body quicker than multivitamins and stuff. But I think it tastes like a juice, basically. And yeah, you just drink it. Hello everyone, it's Luli, and today I'm going to be talking about an unlocalized otome game, Sympathy Kiss, and my first impressions regarding it. I have played 2 routes, so these opinions will be based on that. But anyway, let me start. So first up, the plot. It is a very slice of life kind of otome game, so there is no real deep plot, I suppose. It's more about enjoying the characters, but basically it's about this main character who's going to work. She works at this company that I think develops apps and things, and one day she gets picked out amongst a group of other people to kind of work on this app that isn't doing so well. So it's almost kind of got to the point where they're thinking of scrapping it, but now they're okay, let's at least give it one last push, one last try, and see if it works out. So they're all kind of working on reviving this application, but that's kind of the, I guess, background. It's not, at least 2 routes I played, the focus didn't seem too much about that, but more about the characters and their backgrounds. Now this game was fun in that, since it focuses on the characters, you get to learn more about them. The 2 I played, and I believe the others, from what people have told me, all kind of hold some issues or other. And the main character, tries to help them resolve these issues, get over them, and they kind of all end up happily in the end. So note that this game doesn't really have, at least from my experience, true bad endings. So in that sense, you could kind of relax. It had a job ending and a love ending, but I'll go into a little bit more detail in a moment. Now, this game was also kind of a self-insert type of otome game. So, the main character doesn't have a face. And I mean, some people are cool with that, but I guess it's not entirely for me. But yeah, it is very much, self-insert. The main character doesn't really talk. It reminds me a little bit of Amnesia Memories, where, the little fairy, what's his name again? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. The little fairy does all the talking. The main character doesn't really say much. She just thinks a lot. Now, moving on to kind of the system, as I said, there are no real bad endings, but there's something called a job ending, a love ending, and a perfect ending. And whenever you pick options, it comes up with a tulip that's either a large pink one, a small pink one, a small blue one, or a large blue one. The blue represents kind of your meter for job increasing. The pink represents the sort of meter for love. And if you max your love, naturally it goes to the love ending, and if you max out job, it goes to the job ending. If you manage to do it equally, then you get the perfect ending. But all endings were quite like, you know, they all summarized it. It was nice. The love and perfect ending got CGs, but I guess you do the job ending to collect the ending movie. So, you know, it depends on if you're a completionist or not. Also, there are some decisions you make where you pick like a happy face or a sad face or like an angry one. And depending on which one you pick, it kind of like shows a different opinion regarding whatever it is. And what I thought was interesting is later down in the route, it would kind of pick up on that and remember that option, and later down the lines, you know, the love interest will comment on it. For example, there was one where, you know, the love interest suggests going to the sea as a date, and you know, you can either say, oh, that sounds exciting, or say you're more of a mountain climbing kind of person. Later down in the game, the love interest will remember this and say, I remember you were excited about going to the sea, so I guess we finally can go on that date, or, you know, say something else, which I thought was nice. I really appreciate these little differences that actually affect the game later down the lines. I feel like Automate does kind of lack in that sense, in that usually it's all about the endings and not so much about the journey, which is really sad and something that I guess you see more in indie games, and it honestly is something I appreciate. So I'm really hoping they do more of this, like Automate, do more of this, you know, like things affecting in the future a bit more type of options, because I thought it was really fun. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I know it's self-insert, but lack of a face, I struggled. I don't mind when the main character is facing away, so you still see her head and stuff, but I can't help but feel like when the main character doesn't have a face, she looks inferior compared to the love interest, because you've got this love interest that looks gorgeous, beautiful, and then you've got the main character where her hair's pretty, her clothes are pretty, but because she doesn't have a face, it almost feels like she's punching up. And obviously, I want a main character that is on equal grounds, as in like she's just as pretty as the love interest. I mean, even if I'm self-inserting, I'd rather them, like, main character be pretty so that I can kind of imagine being her, if you know what I mean. So that is something that I struggled with, but I understand that some people, you know, aren't that bothered by this sort of thing. Now, there were quite a few routes. I think there are 5 full routes, 1 half route, and I think it was 2 secret routes. I'm not sure, I can't remember. The routes I played were Yoji and Mitsuki, and I think they were both quite good. Now, moving on to my general thoughts regarding these characters and the overall game, I felt like, you know, Mitsuki as a character, I really enjoyed. I thought he was quite energetic, and I think he's a bit like different from what Japanese society wants in a person in some ways, so I feel like he'd do better in the West, funnily enough. But I really liked his personality, although I'm not gonna lie, the plot was a little bit kind of, it wasn't for me, but that is my sort of opinion, and I feel like other people may not feel that way. It's just I felt like the way the main character was in Mitsuki's route was, I don't know, it just didn't really fit my personality, and although I've never felt this way before, in this case I really felt it. I guess because the main character thinks a lot, so I saw into her way of thinking a bit more, and it just didn't align with how I thought. Yoji, on the other hand, oh my gosh, I loved his route. There were so many tropes that I adore in like things like shoujo manga, J-dramas, that when it happened I was like, oh my god, this is so exciting. So I absolutely adored his route. As like the character himself, I thought was really good. He's not exactly my type necessarily, but I felt like I think there will be quite a few people out there that will like him because he had his cool moments and he had his cute moments, and it was really nice. Now, general thoughts regarding the game itself. I felt like because of the office setting, it was very, I don't know. So I actually quit my previous job because I had a really rough time in the office. Basically, I was too honest, what a surprise, and my manager didn't like that, and so it was just downhill from there. So my experience in the office is absolutely terrible. So obviously this is a game where you go to the office, you're spending a lot of time in the office, all the lingo is like work lingo, and as a result it did, I struggled. I'm not gonna lie, I struggled. Not to mention it felt like I was going to work. It felt a bit dry. So although I really enjoyed the romance, I struggled in the office scenes, which was a big part of it. So, obviously this is different from person to person. If you're the type that likes slice of life and office related environments and romance and things like that, then this is a really good game for you. But if you're like me and you find that the office environment is a bit too relatable, it's a bit too exhausting, then it may not entirely be the game for you. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting more mature romance, given it's an office setting and it's like they're all mature people. I had expected like the steam levels to kind of be like Olympia Soiree or Pia Fiore, where you have a little bit more skin color, if you know what I mean. However, they do kind of make out and things, and they do kind of go the whole way, but I felt like they didn't really depict that so much. They were really there were spicy scenes, but they were all within the realm of, I felt like it was between Zero D and Zero C and Zero D. So Zero C is age restriction of 15 and above, Zero D is 17 and above, and I feel like it was somewhere between that, where it wasn't quite Zero D, it kind of was between the two, if you know what I mean. So in that sense, I was a tiny bit disappointed, at least for the two routes, and I have heard from other people that it's similar in basically all the routes, where it's not as mature as people would have, liked and expected, which is a real shame because, it seemed perfect for the game. It's been quite a long time since a Zero D game was released, at least as far as I'm aware, so there was quite a lot of hype regarding that, I think. Now, the art is really pretty. It's just, I really like it. It's really up my street. The pinks, the purples, and it's like all a bit artsy as well. I really liked it, and I think the music was really nice too. A lot of them fit the scenes. It really did feel like watching a J-drama or something, and I really liked it. And as I said, I could relax a little bit playing it, in the sense that the endings never felt too tragic. They were just kind of like, the love ending was, they're really lovey-dovey, and maybe the job the app didn't necessarily go well, or whatever. The job side of things didn't quite work, maybe. And in the job route, maybe there's a bit more distance between the love interest and the main character, but it's also natural that it doesn't really affect you that much. And of course, the perfect ending is the best ending, where job stuff and romance stuff really work together. They work as a team, and it's nice, but all of them didn't feel too tragic. So if you're the type of person that really doesn't like bad endings, then this game, of course, would be perfect for you as well. Now, my personal rating, I would probably give it a 7 out of 10, at least based on, the prologue and the two routes I've played. It isn't necessarily a favorite, because the main character and I didn't really align in personalities, and I felt like, it could have been more mature and more relevant. But overall, it's a solid game. It's got the skip functions and all the handy things that recent automate games provide for you. The art was really pretty, and I'm not gonna lie, even though the steam wasn't that high, the romance was really well written, and the spicy things that happened they weren't really good. So yeah, overall, decent game. Not my favorite or perfect or me hyping over it, but I think it's okay. It's good, But anyway, that kind of ends this review. As is always the case, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and hopefully I will see you in another one of my videos or streams. Bye!